The skies cracked open with thunder's roar. Mjolnir returned, but not in Thor's hand. Earth's mightiest heroes prepared for war. Loyalty shattered and trust unmade. From the shadows, Wolverine smiled. A storm was coming, and he welcomed it. Gods fall. Heroes bleed. But some enjoy the chaos. The Bifrost tore through the sky like a divine scar, spitting Thor onto Earth with thunder in his eyes and war in his heart. He didn't ask permission. He didn't call ahead. He didn't smile. The god of thunder had returned, not as a hero, but as a storm looking for something to destroy. Something had broken, and now he would break the world with it. The Avengers were already watching. Satellite feeds caught his arrival within seconds. The energy signature alone made Tony Stark spill his drink. Thor was back, uninvited, unannounced, and worse, he wasn't carrying Mjolnir. Stark's AI flagged it immediately. Thor, arrival detected. No hammer in possession. Emotion levels unstable. Back at Avengers Tower, Steve Rogers stared at the screen, frowning. "Why is he back?" he asked. No one answered. No one knew. Thor wasn't talking to anyone. He stood in the center of a crater, surrounded by smoldering earth, looking up at the sky like he was waiting for something even worse to come. Civilians fled the area. Emergency services backed off. They all felt it, that ancient, suffocating weight in the air. This wasn't Thor, the Avenger. This was Thor, the wrath of the gods. Hours later, a Quinjet descended cautiously. Natasha landed first, cool and calm, her eyes scanning him for signs of reason. "Thor," she said softly, "you okay?" He turned. His eyes were glowing white-blue, brighter than usual. "Do not treat me like a man, Natasha. I am not here for conversation." He walked past her like she didn't exist. Within minutes, the world's heroes mobilized. The Avengers assembled at the tower. War Machine loaded weapons. Wanda hovered silently. Vision calculated 27 possible conflict outcomes. None ended cleanly. "This isn't a disagreement," Vision said. "This is a god declaring independence." The truth came fast, brutal, and public. Thor stood on a live global feed, broadcasting from the top of a shattered Stark facility. His voice echoed across every screen on Earth. "You mortals," he said, "you thieves of cosmic relics, of sacred things not meant to be yours. You locked away what belonged to the realms, and you called it protection. You do not protect the universe. You cage it." The camera panned out. Behind him, the shattered remains of the Asgardian vault glowed. Thor had broken into it. He had taken what was his, and more. "I will take back what you have stolen," he continued. "And if you stand in my way, I will unmake the Avengers." That was it. A declaration of war. One that echoed not from hate, but from betrayal. Wolverine heard the speech in a bar. He didn't flinch. He didn't even look up from his drink. But a slow grin crept onto his face, toothy and wild. "Well, damn," Logan muttered. "This might actually get interesting." While the others panicked, strategized, debated, Wolverine was the only one laughing. He'd seen this before. Heroes pretending to be gods. Gods pretending to be right. It always ended in blood, and Logan was already sharpening his claws. Thor moved fast, faster than they expected. He didn't wait for a debate. He didn't hold back. He crashed the United Nations building in Geneva, exposing their secret stockpile of magical items, ones hidden even from S.H.I.E.L.D. He scattered them into the void, condemning Earth's addiction to power it does not understand. Then he turned toward Wakanda, and that's when they realized this wasn't about revenge. It was reclamation. Thor wasn't destroying Earth. He was purifying it, one vault, one secret at a time. When the Avengers finally confronted him on the cliffs of Norway, it wasn't a battle. It was a warning. Thor stood alone against 5 of them. Tony in the latest Mark armor, Cap with his shield reforged, Wanda's hands glowing with chaos magic, Vision floating like a ghost, and Bruce angry already. Thor didn't blink. "I gave you time," he said. "I gave you friendship. You returned it with containment units and closed doors. You turned my culture into your science experiment. No one turned anything into anything. Tony replied. "We protected the world. You left. We handled it." Thor smiled, a cold, broken thing. "Then handle this." He summoned the storm. Lightning cracked across the sky, shredding clouds. Thunder ripped through the air like screams. And from the sky, not Mjolnir, but a new weapon fell into his hand. Dark, ancient, not Asgardian. Something older, something wrong. Wolverine watched the storm light up the sky from the forest below. He didn't flinch. He took one last drag of his cigar and crushed it under his boot. "Let the kids have their meetings," he said. "I'm going hunting." The sky over Norway still hadn't cleared. The thunder had left, but the static hung heavy in the air like the memory of a scream. Stark's armor was cracked. Steve's shield was scorched. Wanda's hands trembled from overuse. And Bruce hadn't dared to let the other guy out, not after what he saw in Thor's eyes. That wasn't rage. It was something colder, more final. Back at Avengers HQ, no one spoke at first. The battle hadn't been a loss, technically, but it wasn't a win either. Thor hadn't killed them. He could have, but he hadn't. And somehow, that made it worse. Tony broke the silence. "Okay, this isn't a tantrum. It's not grief. It's a goddamn declaration." "He thinks we betrayed him," Cap said quietly. "He's not wrong," Natasha added. "We did lock up the relics, without his consent." Tony spun toward her. They were dangerous. Half of them were unstable. The other half had literal curses baked into them. "You want that flying around unmonitored?" Natasha didn't blink. "I want to not be on Thor's kill list." Bruce just stared at the floor. "He's not angry. He's righteous. That's worse." Across the table, Wanda spoke softly. "His mind is clean. There's no corruption, no outside force. This is him, all of him." That shook everyone. If Thor was being mind-controlled, there would have been hope. A villain, a spell, a scapegoat. But this was Thor Odinson, son of Odin, former king of Asgard, protector of the realms, deciding Earth wasn't worthy. And no one could argue with him, not with clean hands. The Avengers had made choices, strategic ones. They had locked away God's weapons, enchanted items, multiversal keys, all in the name of protection. But maybe, just maybe, it looked like hoarding, or conquest, or fear. Wolverine didn't care about any of that. He was already tracking Thor. No clearance, no orders, just scent and instinct. He followed the trail through Norway's ruins, through the shadows of fallen temples and burned-out facilities. Logan didn't need a jet. He didn't need a plan. He needed something real. And Thor's wrath? That was realer than anything he'd tasted in months. Back in New York, the world panicked. News cycles looped footage of Thor tearing apart global bunkers like they were made of paper. Magic detectors across the planet spiked off the charts. Ancient artifacts disappeared into the storm. Thor wasn't hiding his moves. He wanted the world to see it. And people did. Half the world saw a villain. The other half saw a god taking back what belonged to him. The Avengers were fracturing. Rhodes wanted authorization for extreme response. A kill switch. Vision refused. Thor is not Ultron. He is not to be erased. Sam suggested diplomacy. Carol offered force. Banner suggested exile. Steve stayed quiet. Because deep down, Steve understood Thor. Not his powers, not his storm, but the feeling. That weight of being a symbol, a myth, and watching the world twist your meaning. Steve had lived long enough to know what it meant to be obeyed, but not trusted. Wanda tried again. She reached into the magical remnants Thor left behind, trying to find a flaw, a crack in his plan. But it was perfect, controlled, measured. The magic he wielded wasn't chaotic, it was ancient. And somewhere inside it, she felt something terrifying. Regret. Thor hated this war. He just believed it was necessary. That night, the Avengers argued again. Tony wanted to launch a preemptive strike. Wanda said, "He'll see it coming." Bruce said, "He won't just see it. He'll let it hit. Then he'll hit back harder." Steve asked the question no one wanted to answer. What if we're the villains this time? Silence. Then, speak for yourself, Tony said. but his voice cracked just slightly. In the silence that followed, Friday's voice chimed in. Unauthorized breach. Upstate perimeter. One life form. Identified as Wolverine. They rushed outside. Logan stood in the courtyard, arms crossed, cigar lit. Hey, he said. Been a while. Steve sighed. You're not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to do a lot of things. Natasha smirked. Still grumpy. Logan grinned. Still pretty. Tony cut through the nostalgia. What do you want, Logan? Logan's smile vanished. I want in. In what? This Thor mess. Tony scoffed. You? You think claws are gonna stop a god? Logan flicked ash. Didn't say I'd stop him. Said I'd fight him. Steve stepped forward. Why? And Logan's answer chilled them. Because he's the only one telling the truth. Another silence. Longer this time. He's not wrong, Logan continued. You people play chess with magic, and God's like it's just another Wednesday. You cage things you don't understand, and then act surprised when they bite back. I've seen this before. Seen what happens when men with power think they're doing the right thing by keeping secrets. Don't lecture us about power, Tony snapped. I'm not, Logan replied. I'm warning you. Thor's not your enemy. But if you keep pushing him, he'll become something none of us can stop. Steve frowned. Then why are you here? Logan's voice dropped. Because when the time comes, someone has to put him down. No one responded. No one moved. Because they all knew, if it came to that, Logan was the only one who could try. Thor, meanwhile, stood at the edge of the Atlantic, eyes closed, speaking an ancient Asgardian prayer. He wasn't praying for peace. He was calling something, summoning an ancient force buried deep beneath the ocean. The ocean boiled, and from the depths, something stirred. Back at the tower, Steve finally spoke. Prep the jet. We're going after him. All of us. Tony hesitated. Even him. He gestured toward Logan. Steve didn't blink, especially him. And in the hangar, Wolverine grinned, claws sliding out with a satisfying snikt. About damn time. The jet cut through the sky like a blade, but Wolverine didn't sit with the others. He stood at the open ramp, arms crossed, wind howling around him, eyes locked on the storm ahead. The others strapped in. Logan didn't care. Somewhere in the clouds, Thor waited. Steve approached him. You're not part of the team. Logan didn't look at him. Never said I was. But you're here. Damn right I am. Steve nodded once. That was enough. Below them, the sea churned like it had something to say. Thor had awakened something ancient, something lost. Earthquakes rocked coastlines. Tides shifted unnaturally. Atlantis sensors pinged. Magic across the globe bent slightly, like a wind blowing through invisible strings. Whatever Thor was doing, it wasn't just about reclaiming relics anymore. It was about rewriting the balance. The Avengers touched down on a remote island torn from tectonic plates just days earlier. It hadn't existed a week ago. Now it was the eye of the storm. The second Logan stepped off the jet, he smiled. The air smelled like ozone, ash, and lightning. He loved it. The rest of the team spread out cautiously. Stark hovered above in new armor, sleeker, reinforced with vibranium plating. Wanda whispered incantations under her breath. Vision floated like a silent guardian. Steve led with his shield raised. Logan? He just walked. The clouds above parted like curtains. Thor descended. Not fell. Not flew. Descended. Like judgment. He wore no helmet. No armor. Just blackened leather, scorched and glowing, with runes that shifted across his skin like living tattoos. In his hand was the new weapon, something that looked forged in fire and grief. It wasn't Mjolnir. It wasn't Stormbreaker. It pulsed with something older, something nameless. Tony scanned it. I don't even have a name for that thing. That's bad. Stay focused, Steve said. Thor landed softly, but the ground cracked anyway. He looked at them like memories, not friends. I warned you, he said. We're not here to fight, Steve replied. You brought your army. We brought a conversation. Thor raised the weapon, then speak quickly. Logan stepped forward, ignoring everyone else. No more speeches, he growled. Let's get to the fun part. The team froze. "Logan, wait," Steve started. Too late. Wolverine launched himself at Thor like a missile made of rage and adamantium. His claws caught fire from the friction in the air. The god barely moved before Logan was on him, slashing, snarling, wild. Thor blocked with one hand. The other sent a bolt of lightning straight into Logan's chest. The forest behind them exploded. Logan crashed through 3 trees, bounced off a boulder, and slid into a crater. Smoke curled from his ribs. His skin was blackened, his shirt gone. And then he stood up, laughing. "Yup," he grinned, spitting blood. "That's the stuff." The others stared. They weren't sure if it was courage or suicide. Maybe both. Thor looked at Logan for a long time. Then he smiled. "Finally," he said, "a warrior." This time, Thor came first. He launched toward Wolverine with the force of a comet. Logan met him midair, claws slashing upward. Sparks lit the sky like a second sun. The shockwave knocked vision back. Even Wanda stumbled. Logan's claws scraped against the god weapon. No name, no origin. And for the first time, Thor's arm wavered. He wasn't holding back. Neither was Logan. They clashed again, this time on the ground. Thor slammed Logan into the dirt, trying to pin him. Lightning danced around them. But Logan grinned through the pain, headbutting Thor hard enough to daze him. Then the claws came back up, straight into Thor's shoulder. A roar of pain shook the trees. Thor blasted Logan point blank. Silence. Smoke. "Then you hit like a girl," Logan said, stepping from the crater again, his flesh knitting together with every second. Wanda was wide-eyed. "How is he still alive?" "Because he's not human," Vision replied. "He's stubborn." Logan charged again. Thor met him, this time faster, stronger. The island shook. Lava cracked the earth. Storms roared above. And through it all, Wolverine kept laughing. The others couldn't tell anymore if he was fighting Thor or enjoying every hit. Maybe both. Steve turned to Tony. "We can't let this keep going. You want to step in between that?" Tony snapped. "Be my guest." But then something changed. Thor stopped. Not from exhaustion, from clarity. He held Logan by the throat, ready to blast him again. Logan didn't resist, just grinned, blood dripping from his teeth. And in that moment, something passed between them. Not words, understanding. "You enjoy this," Thor said. Logan nodded slowly. "You needed someone who doesn't flinch. I'm that guy." Thor released him. Logan dropped to the ground and lit a cigar from a stray ember. Steve stepped forward again. "Thor, talk to us, please." For a moment, it looked like Thor might answer. But instead, he raised his weapon again and pointed it not at the Avengers, but at the sea. The ocean screamed. A massive column of water shot into the sky, and something began to rise. It wasn't a creature. It was a vault, an ancient structure of glowing runes and bone, sealed by Odin himself before Earth had even formed continents. Thor had found it, and he was about to open it. Logan's eyes narrowed. "What the hell is that?" Thor looked back, voice thunderous. "The truth." And the weapon in his hand began to hum. The vault cracked. Magic screamed, and the sky turned red. The fight was just beginning. The vault cracked open with a sound that shook the planet's spine. A pulse of ancient energy erupted, slamming through every magical ward on Earth like a tidal wave. Sorcerers across dimensions flinched. Dr. Strange dropped his tea in camartage and looked to the sky. Thor stood unmoved, arm raised, weapon glowing with runes that pulsed like a second heartbeat. Wind tore through the jungle, and the sea recoiled from the sheer force being released. "Stop him," Steve shouted. Wanda moved first, hex magic swirling as she threw a chaos blast at the vault. Thor caught it midair and crushed it with his bare hand. The magic fizzled into sparks like it had never existed. Iron Man locked on, targeting Odin's seal core, launching repulsors. 3 beams hit the structure. They dented it. That was it. Vision dove from the sky, phasing through Thor's arm and trying to grab the weapon. Thor turned mid-swing, slammed him to the ground. and buried him in 5 feet of stone. Vision flickered, faded. Then came Hulk. Not Bruce. He'd seen enough. The roar was monstrous. A green missile of fury tore through trees, slamming into Thor like a meteor. They rolled across the clearing, ground ripping apart beneath them. Hulk smashed again and again, pounding the god into a crater. Then the lightning returned. A single bolt dropped Hulk to his knees, muscles twitching, eyes rolling back. Thor stood over him, smoking, breathing hard. He didn't strike again. He turned back to the vault. And finally, Wolverine moved. He didn't run this time. He stalked. Quiet. Calculated. Logan lunged just as Thor raised the weapon again. This time, the claws hit home. Straight into Thor's side. The god gasped, dropping to one knee, blood trailing down his ribs. Not mortal blood. Something brighter. Wilder. "You open that thing," Logan growled, "and we don't come back from it." "I must," Thor rasped. "The truth is inside. The gods lied. Odin lied." "So what?" Logan snapped. "You think breaking the world makes it better?" Thunder rumbled like an answer. Then, Thor slammed the weapon into the vault. The seal shattered. The sky tore. A ripple burst from the island, knocking the Avengers off their feet. In the center of the blast, the vault bloomed open like a cursed flower. Inside, darkness, moving, whispering, watching, and something stepped out. Not a monster, not a man, a being made of memory, rage, and forgotten divinity. Its form shifted between faces: Odin, Hela, Laufey, even Thor himself. The god weapon dropped from Thor's hand. "I didn't summon this," he whispered. "No," said the being, "but you opened the door." Steve grabbed his shield, eyes locked on the entity. "Thor, what is that?" Thor's voice trembled. "The first war. The one Odin erased. It wasn't won. It was buried." The being raised a hand and reality warped. Time bent. Steve saw himself die. Tony saw Earth burn. Wanda saw her brother, alive and then gone. Then the being turned to Thor. "You brought me back," it said. Wolverine stepped forward, claws still drawn. "Then we'll put you back." The thing smiled. "I'd like to see you try." And the war began, not between Avengers and Thor anymore, but between gods, men, and the thing even gods feared. The world bent around them. Colors bled from the sky. Gravity twisted like it was drunk. The thing Thor had awakened, older than Asgard, older than time, walked through the vault like it owned reality. And maybe it did. It whispered truths into the air, and those who listened wept. Wanda dropped to her knees, screaming. Her chaos magic writhed like it wanted to escape her body. Vision phased in and out, stuttering. Stark's armor malfunctioned mid-air and dropped him like a stone. Steve caught him. Thor stepped forward, broken weapon in hand. "I didn't mean this," he said, voice hollow. The being turned to him. Intent does not erase consequence. Then it raised a hand, and everything froze. Time stopped. Birds halted mid-flight. Leaves hung motionless. Even Hulk's breath paused in his lungs. Everyone stopped, except Wolverine. He kept walking. Somehow, time didn't touch him. He cracked his neck, claws out, face calm. "Guess you didn't see me coming," he said. The being narrowed its eyes. "You are not bound to the same rules." Logan kept walking. "No." "Why?" "Because I've died too many times to care about rules." The god thing fired a bolt of corrupted light. Logan sliced through it mid-air. Sparks flew. He closed the gap in seconds and jammed his claws deep into its chest. It didn't bleed. It screamed. Reality shattered in a ripple. The sky glitched. Mountains shook. Thor stumbled back. "Logan, you can't kill it. It's not alive like us." Logan roared, yanking his claws out. "Good thing I ain't like you." The being lashed out. A wave of forgotten war. Thousands of ghostly arms reached for Logan, pulling at his memories, his trauma, trying to break him. It showed him every life he'd taken, every friend he'd lost, every failure. He didn't flinch. "Nice try," he growled. "I live with this." He roared, slashing again, this time upward, across the being's face. The form glitched, flickering between gods and monsters. "Odin, Galactus. A child crying. A star collapsing. Then Thor joined him. Hammer or not, he fought like a storm. Lightning danced around him as he swung his broken weapon like it still meant something. He shouted to the skies, summoning every last ounce of power left in his blood. Together, the god and the beast fought the unnameable. And for a moment, it worked. The being stumbled. Steve saw his chance. Threw his shield. Direct hit. Wanda, eyes burning, forced herself to stand. Her hex bolted out like fire, laced with sorrow. It wrapped around the being's legs, locking it in place. Now, she screamed. Thor and Logan struck at the same time, lightning and adamantium. Pure will and unkillable rage. The being shattered, not into pieces, but into silence. The vault imploded, and time snapped back. The world blinked. The sky turned blue. Everyone gasped, alive. Thor dropped to his knees, exhausted. His arms trembled. The weapon crumbled in his grip, like ash. Wolverine stood over the empty vault, breathing heavy, claws dripping with something that wasn't blood. Tony finally spoke. Did we win? No, Logan said. We survived. Thor looked up at him. You could have let it win. Logan nodded. I could have. Why didn't you? Logan stared at the smoke rising from the crater. Because even gods need a second chance. He turned to walk away, lighting a fresh cigar from a spark on the ground. Steve called after him. Where are you going? Logan didn't stop. Back to the real world. Call me when someone else breaks the planet. Thor sat in silence. The Avengers regrouped, tired but alive. Wolverine disappeared into the trees, smiling. Because he wasn't just happy the world was safe. He was happy. He got to bleed for something real again.